Hi everyone, this is Lowell, and talking about the number system and learning to play with another number system. And today I wanted to talk about how harmony works and how it is set up using essentially the circle of fifths. And for those of you who don't know what the circle of fifths is, the closest interval that you can have from one note to another is not a half step or a whole step. It's actually a perfect fifth, and that's the reason I say that is that harmony. If you study the overtone series, and a lot of you may not know what the overtone series is or the harmonic series, but I encourage you to study that and look it up. It's basically how sound works around us. So we have music that's man-made, but we also have sound, which is God-made. And so the way that sound operates is with frequency. And so the lowest possible frequency that people can hear is 20 hertz. And below that, it becomes a beat. But the human ear can hear 20 hertz, which is 20 vibrations per second. And so the way the overtone series is built in nature is you take the number 20 and you multiply it by 1, which is itself, obviously, and then by 2, it's 40. So that's, 40 hertz is the first node, or second node, depending on how you scientifically analyze it. But there are two different systems. But anyway, I would call it the second node, personally. And then 20 hertz times 3, that'd be 60, and on up. So and it goes forever. And so all of those nodes actually exist inside of the sound that you're hearing. So anyway, I don't want to do a big long teaching on the overtone series, but what I wanted to share is that the very first several nodes of the overtone series create, if you condense it down into within an octave range, it creates a major triad, and then the seventh is added to it. So literally, is the overtone series creates a dominant seventh chord, and other things after that as well. But predominantly, the first 2 or 3 intervals in the overtone series is a fifth. And when I say a fifth, I'm talking about, if you take a major scale and you walk it up. So here's C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth is literally harmonically and naturally and acoustically the closest interval that you can have. So in terms of chord progressions, the closest chord to another chord, or the closest note to another note, is a fifth. And so I wanted to show you how harmony works from the standpoint of this, what we call the circle of fifths. And a lot of you who have studied some music will understand this in terms of what we call key signatures. Key signatures is kind of basically an easy way to keep track of what key you're in based upon the use of, at the beginning of the page for written notation, sharps and flats. And so everybody knows that the key of C has no sharps and no flats in it. And so that's the first, think about it like a clock. It's the first key that we'll put up here, kind of like at 12 o'clock. So if you go up from C 5 steps, a fifth, then you're going to end up getting the key of G. And so the key of C has no sharps, no flats. The key of G has 1 sharp. And then the next key is going to be the key of D, which has 2 sharps. Now let's just do it this way. 2 sharps. And then that's not very good either. Sorry. 2 sharps. And then the key of A is 3 sharps. Key of E, 4 sharps. key of B is 5 sharps, and the key of F sharp, which is 6 sharps. And so that's what you would see at the beginning of the staff of music if you're reading music. And so that's kind of a shorthanded way of letting everybody know that these are the notes that you're going to be playing in that major scale of that key. So F sharp. All right, and so starting again from C up here, and if you go down from C 5 steps, so C, B flat, A, G, F, so C, B flat, A, G, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go down to F, and so the key of F has 1 flat. And then the next one down is da 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 da, B flat. So the key of B flat has 2 flats. The key of E flat has 3 flats. Key of A flat has 4 flats. Key of D flat has 5 flats. And the key of C flat, I'm sorry, D flat, G flat, rather. Okay, so G flat and F sharp are the same. So that's 6 flats. Okay, and so here we have on this side of the clock the flat keys, and on this side of the clock we have the sharp keys. And literally it's the simplest way to understand how harmony works all the way around the entire all of the keys that are available. And so you see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These F sharp and G flat, that's the same key, just different ways of spelling it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they're all of your 12 keys. And I hope that all of you can study this and think about it, and maybe do some other research on it, because this is very foundational to understanding all of harmony for every style of music. And but that's just the foundation of what I wanted to share today, is that within a key you can have a sort of circle of fifths happening inside of a key as well. So think of the next part of what I'm going to share you is like a subset of what I just showed you. So this is all of the keys and all their different sharps and flats that you would use for any style of music. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but still thinking about the circle of fifths. But inside of a key, and I know that those of you who are studying this video are interested in learning how to play in a band by ear, and you're going, well, why do I need to look at music notation? This is just an easy way for me to explain what I'm about ready to show you. This is middle C right here. All right, and let's say that we're in the key of C, and I'm just using the key of C as an example. You can do this with all the other 12 keys. So in the key of C, I'm going to count up 5 steps. So I'm going to, C, D, E, F, G, right? So that's five steps away. And then I'm going to go 5 steps away from G. So it's going to be G, A, B, C, D. So there's 5 steps away. And then I'm going to go 5 steps away from that to D, E, F, G, A. Right, so that's that A. And so all of these notes so far are still in the key of C. And then I'm going to drop down an octave or a couple octaves, so that I don't run out of space here. And then A, B, C, D, E. Okay, that's still, we're good in the key of C. And so those are all perfect fifths away from each other. And then E, F, G, A, B. All right, and then B, C, D, E, F. now here's where it gets a little interesting. Okay, normally a perfect fifth from B is going to be an F sharp. All right, but in the key of C, we have no sharps and no flats. And so in the key of C, instead of it being an F sharp, it's going to be an F. So right here we show that we're deviating from a perfect scenario of using perfect fifths. Let's keep going. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I build triads in the key of C on top of these notes, then it'll be C, E, G. I'm going to color these in so you can see that they're separate and distinct from these other foundational root notes. So that's going to be C, E, G. And again, I'm staying in the key of C, so I'm only using the notes in a C major scale. So now I have G, B, D. All right. And notice that these are major chords. So C, E, G is a major triad, G, B, D is a major triad. To have a major triad on D would be D, F sharp, A, but there's no sharps in the key of C, so this is going to have to be a natural. So this turns this chord into minor. So D, F, A. And then a major chord on A would be A, C sharp, E, but there's no C sharps in the key of C, so this is a C natural. All right. And then here's an E. And now an E major chord would be E, G sharp, B, but there's no G sharps in the key of C. It's a G natural. So this note is going to have to be a G natural, B. All right, and then a B, a major triad of B is going to be B, D sharp, F sharp. And we already said that there's no F sharps in the key of C and there's no D sharps in the key of C. So this is going to have to be D natural and F natural. And then finally, this last F should be an F sharp, but exactly away from the key, 5 steps away from B, B, C, D, E, F sharp. F sharp would be a perfect fifth, but it's not. It can't be a perfect fifth. It has to be a diminished fifth. So if it were an F sharp, then it would be F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. But that's not possible. So that in the key of C, because we have no sharps and no flats. So that's going to be an F natural, an A natural, and a C natural. So all of these natural signs that I've just shown you is how the key of C with its harmonies deviate from the perfect fifth scenario around all the other keys. And so that's how we know that all of these chords are exactly in the key of C. And so, but at the same time, the relationships between the roots can still be a fifth away from their counterparts. And so, the B is a fifth away from the E is a fifth away from the A is a fifth away from the D is a fifth away from the G is a fifth away from the C. So what does that mean in terms of a chord progression in the key of C? Let's talk about that here. I know that my lines are squiggly. All right. So now I'm going to put this into a major scale sequence that is easily understood. So, here's your C chord, C, E, G, and then we're just going to go up the scale, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, and then B, D, F. All right, and so in my notation, I use a capital Roman numeral to indicate major and a lowercase Roman numeral to indicate minor. So here's 1, major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7. Okay, and so in terms of the number system, that's what we're talking about. Okay, getting back to how you use the number system, understand the number system. So here, this is obviously 1. Up here at this example, up here, this is 1. This is 5. This is 2. This is 6. And this is 3. Right there. And this is 7. And this is 4. So, when you're dealing with a chord progression, you want to understand inside of a key, the whole point of what I'm trying to get to in a long-winded way, I know, but the point that I'm trying to get to is that you can have a semblance of the circle of fifths pattern of chords a fifth away from each other inside of a major scale, the same way that you do around the circle of fifths. And so what is 5 of C? That's G, all right? And then what is 5 of G? And that's D. And what's 5 of D? That's A. And what's 5 of A? That's E. So what that ends up doing, if you basically reverse what I just said, is you have 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. All right, that's a very, very famous chord progression, and I'll explain it a little bit more in the next video where you can hear it. But bum, 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 bum. Those are the closest intervals to each other in terms of the relationships that end up creating a circle of fifths. And so that's why it sounds, whenever you have chord progressions, that's why it sounds good. It's like you're kind of rolling down a hill where you're naturally going to the next key. So 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So I'm going to write that chord progression up here. 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. All right, and so as a matter of fact, this part of that chord progression is so useful in jazz theory that they call it a turnaround. And you can throw a turnaround sequence in a lot of different places, and I won't get into that in this video, but this is very, very foundational to understanding jazz theory. And so if you can understand 2, 5, 1 progressions, and it's always minor 2, or most always minor 2, major 5, and major 1. And 4 can also be substituted for 2. But suffice it to say, this chord progression right here of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chords really it forms the basis of most music that you hear. And that's because it actually just cycles around the circle of fifths, the same way that you would cycle around the circle of fifths in the traditional circle of fifths way, but this is actually happening inside of the key instead of talking about all of the keys. And I hope that makes sense. I'll provide a little bit more on the next video in terms of how that sounds, and your ear will recognize what I'm talking about.